Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Leslie Vernick's Public Page. I am Coach Leanne here in the US of A, and I am joined by my beautiful co-worker and cohort today. Hey, Jen, Coach Jen, so good to see you.
Hi. I'm
And
wearing red for Canada today.
All right, well, and I am wearing green for
Christmas. We're Christmas.
we're Christmas. Let's just go with it.
Easter's over now. We're on to Christmas.
There you go. Christmas in April. Welcome, everyone. We are so very glad that you're here. And we are here to talk about a topic today that is near and dear to Jen and my heart, as well as to the heart of our ministry. And you are joining us today because this topic piqued your curiosity and your interest. Perhaps it speaks into your life in very real and profound ways. And we just want to honor that space for you. The topic for our live today is the importance of listening to your body under high stress. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about y'all. I'm pulling out a little bit of my y'all here, but I don't know about y'all, but I have heard my body speak to me under stress before. And so Jen and I would just love it if you could let us know that you are here with us, that you can see us and hear us live. I see Sherry. Hi, y'all. Thank you, Sherry. You're joining us from Wisconsin. Jeannie, hello, Oregon. Colorado is in the house. So grateful to see you. We just so appreciate the fact that women join us from all over the world. And we love to know where you're streaming in from today and Facebooking in. Shannon, California.
Yay.
Oh my goodness. You are re-listening to how to listen to or relearning, Janelle, how to listen to your body. Virginia is in the house. Cape Coral, Florida. Hey, New York. Linda, glad you're here. Annie, Dorothy, Ohio, Irvine, California, Missouri. Anybody here from Canada? Just curious. Besides Coach Jen. I'm so grateful that we
Nova Scotia here.
I'm so grateful that we get to be international today. It's so fun. You know, when we think of the love of God, how wide, how deep, how long is his love for us? I think whenever I see you on the screen, whether with me or one of our other coaches or with Leslie, it just shows me about how no matter where we are in the world, we are serving, loving, and trusted in the same God, no matter what part of the globe we are in. And that is something very beautiful that unifies us and brings us together. Hey, there we go. Krista, Ontario, Canada. There we go.
Ontario too. And we've got Kelly, one of our Conquer mentors here.
Great. Oh, Kelly, thank you so much for being here. We are so grateful. So as we are coming together, we just want to remind you, this is Leslie's public page. That means anybody from all over the globe, male or female, neighbor or pastor, best friend or family member could potentially see what it is that you type into the feed. And this is a big topic. It's a heavy topic for us to talk about. And it's very, very real. The effects of stress are real. And we want to acknowledge that. And so we just want you to be thoughtful about what you type into the page. If you would take that into consideration as we share together. You know, as Jen and I were preparing for our time together and talking and sharing and praying, we are very, very aware, and we want to hear from you about where have you seen your body talk to you? What have you heard your body say under stress? Jen, what would you add to that question?
And how did you know? Because I think there's a lot of times our body says stuff to us and we brush it off. Like, I want to know how, maybe that doesn't make sense. I just want to know how we not only hear it, but then how do we listen to it? Like, really take it in. Does that make sense? Instead of blowing it off.
Instead of blowing it off, because, you know, sometimes stress can feel uncomfortable. We don't like it. It feels icky.
Yeah.
And so we can dismiss it and push it to the side and plow through, so to speak.
Mhm.
And the effects of that can be catastrophic when
Mhm.
it comes to our health, when it comes to our physical well-being, our emotional well-being, and our mental well-being. And that's what we're here to talk about today,
Mhm.
is that it affects every area of our body. It can affect us body, mind, soul, and spirit. And so we would love to hear about how you have experienced stress. You know, during COVID, during this whole pandemic, these last couple of years, there's been a lot of opportunities to experience stress environmentally, socially, and relationally.
Mhm.
And I think I've seen with the women that I work with, and even in my own life, I can feel the effects on my body. And so, before I say too much about the way I experience it, we would love to hear from you. Welcome, South Africa. Good to see you, Sonia. All right, Tasha is saying muscle tension and stomach ulcers.
Yes.
Katie, this is an important topic. I am excited to hear from you. Katie, we would love to hear from you about what made you want to join in today. What about this is important that you walk away with today? We would love to know, what is it that you really want to chat about when it
Mhm.
comes to the effects of stress on our body? We want to be of service to you. Linda is saying right now she's got stomach problems and nervousness and tears. Wow.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. Sherry is saying that she wakes up every morning with stress that she has to pray away. She feels pumped, full of adrenaline, like she needs to go running or to go to a boxing class or something. I love that all the time. She prays, she reads the word, she listens to worship music, and that helps. She's saying, I have to do that all day long in order to do my life. Jen, these are real effects on the body.
Yes. Yeah.
What else would you like? Oh, heart palpitations, hormone changes, hair
Hair
loss,
loss. Yeah.
I can't breathe, stomach problems, depression, anxiety, paralyzation, hot flashes.
Mhm. Oh, clenching your teeth. That's a real sign of stress and anger when we're sleeping. I'm doing this, um, Kathleen, because I actually have a mouth guard for years. I didn't know why I was grinding my teeth, and now since I've learned about my own circumstances and what was causing me stress, and I've taken care of it, I no longer have to wear it. But I'm with you on that one. Clenching teeth and grinding teeth at night, huge sign of unresolved, ongoing stress for sure.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
this is
interesting?
really
I too wear a mouth guard. I clench. My dentist has told me they can see grind marks.
yeah.
I've been grinding through mouth guards even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I just want to add in here too, Coach Leanne, that if you have specific questions for us too, Julie's on our team here. She's helping us pick out any of the questions that she'll alert Leanne and I to. So put them in the chat and we'll hopefully get to those before the end of our time together today. But I'm seeing just a huge variety of symptoms, if you will, of all the signs that our body is speaking to us. Yeah.
Indeed. And
Janelle
are
can
we
relate to all of
listening?
these. Yeah.
Mm,
Autoimmune, huge, huge. I hear all of these things. I think for those of you that don't know, I'm also a nurse. And for part of my career, and I have an extra degree in occupational health nursing. So it was very much a part of my job to look at stress in the workplace, because I knew proactively we could try to do something to minimize that, to therefore help our employees stay at work longer, right? We worked in an office environment, so it wasn't like repetitive strain injuries in a factory or something, but it was the emotional, the pressure that we were under giving healthcare to our society in our region. And there are so many of all of these symptoms that I'm seeing that I used to read research studies on that people weren't at the time taking seriously. I think Western medicine tried to compartmentalize the difference between sort of the psycho emotional side of things versus the physiological side of things. And I think all of you are demonstrating today that when we are under stress, it does come up in physical ways, whether it's just those symptoms or, God forbid, it turns into an autoimmune disorder. Like I have vitiligo. I don't know if you guys can see it. See my white marks, like on my elbow and stuff?
mhm.
That's an autoimmune disease like Michael Jackson had. You guys might remember when he had the umbrella and lightened his skin. It's where my body attacks its own melanin, the stuff that makes you tan. And I can tell when I've been in seasons, it doesn't happen instantly, but when I've been in seasons of stress, my white spots get bigger. It's not normally like that, but I can tell because my body doesn't know the difference between real stress, chronic stress. And so it just starts attacking everything to try to protect me. And it's like, no, 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 this is good stuff. Don't attack that. But it doesn't know. And all of these symptoms that you're describing today can really lead into that and fester more ongoing serious health issues. So I just want to say you're in good company, apparently, with all of these types of things that you're experiencing. I'm very, very sorry to hear that it is, but it's important for us to listen because this is real. This is very, very real. If we address the stress, we can either eliminate those symptoms or at least minimize them and help, like with diabetes or other chronic illnesses, we can help manage them. I'll try to get off my nursing soapbox now.
No, Jen, I love that because this is part of it, right? We can't dismiss that. And you've been given that training for a reason. And it helps to bring it to the forefront because we can think in our heads when we're experiencing the symptoms of stress that we're making stuff up. We can even hear that from the people in our world that are saying, you're just making that tummy stuff up. Or you're just, you're using that as an excuse not to engage with the world. No, 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 no. We're here to say time out. The effects are real and we don't need to pretend that they're not real. But what are we going to do when our body starts talking to us and talking at us and trying to inform us in God's graciousness, the way He created us? He created us with a body that will alert us when we are experiencing less than optimal health. And stress triggers. We talked about the effects of stress here. And, something that we know scientifically is the effects of cortisol and adrenaline in our bodies are very, very real. Middle tummy bulging, right? Cortisol, unexplained weight gain, unexplained inflammation. So for me, stress for me can show up as inflammation. It also shows up for me. I have a very strong gluten intolerance. I'm not celiac, but I know under periods, like you said, seasons of high stress, my digestive system does not work as well. And I will have inflammation in my body. It will show up in my weakest areas. All right. And so it's important to me that I listen when my joints swell in my hands or my neck or my knees, that perhaps that is an indicator that I'm experiencing stress. And I can be a little energizer bunny sometimes. Anybody else in the room feel like they can be an energizer bunny and just keep on going because we have stuff to do. We have people to serve. We have people to love. And those of us who are compassionate beings can tend to dismiss our own stresses so we can care for others. And we can go and go and go until we are depleted. And then all of a sudden our bodies say, stop, halt. You can go this far and go no more. Mm-hmm. And I've had seasons of times in my life where that was my experience. And what do we do with that? When our bodies talk to us, we have an opportunity to listen. God has given us 5 senses. And so I just love how fast the feed is going. I can't even keep up.
No, I know. It's amazing.
I love to experience this. And that we are in sisterhood together as we look at the importance of listening to our bodies. And, one thing that I really appreciate about our community and our ministry here with Leslie Vernick is that we are not afraid to talk about the hard stuff. And the stress is part of the hard stuff. And, we've been on multiple times here these last few weeks, actually, and we are talking all about conquer. And so the importance of listening to our body when under high stress, we can conquer some of that high stress by becoming very aware. And one of the strategies that we have within our ministry is our Conquer Education and Support Group. And so this is a place where women from all over the world gather together and navigate destructive, difficult, and disappointing relationships at a level I've never seen it before. An honest level, excuse me, where we can take ownership of the fact that our bodies are experiencing stress. And we can get in this support and education group and we can talk about this, develop strategies in order to navigate the stress in healthier ways than we did yesterday. We can do it different today. And this community of women has been life giving to many of us. And so we just are here as well to invite you. If you want to know more about listening to your body, navigating stress and relationships, we just want to invite you to join us at leslievernick.com/conquer sign up to find out more information about what might be available for you in real time to start listening in to the stress that your body is wanting to alert you that you are under, that you may not even be aware of, right, Jen?
Mhm. I think that's really critical because sometimes, as I was talking to Coach Leanne as before we started, that our bodies aren't always our go-to information source. We often, so we have three ways of getting information. It's through our thoughts, it's through our emotions, and it's through our bodies telling us something. And in an ideal world, all three of those would talk to us equally at the same time. So we get all the information we need to make a big, beautiful picture of the scenario. But that's not reality. I personally am a head person. So my thoughts come into play first. I may have knots in my stomach. My hands may be shaking. I may have that tension headache. And I just kind of go, oh, it's the weather. Oh, it's something else. And it's a while before my thoughts catch up, but I only start listening when my thoughts kick in. Now I've learned to go, wait a second, maybe it is the weather that I've got this headache, or maybe it's not. And it causes me to pause and look around so that I can learn what might be going on around me in my situation, in my environment that could be trying to tell me something. So please know that it's not just an automatic thing that we listen to our bodies. And that's why we wanted to highlight today the importance of hearing that and then really listening to it. So I have a little visitor here.
Oh, Jen, I just love that. And this is where we get to pause.
Yeah.
So when we are experiencing, the tummy issues, the inflammation, the anxiety, the depression, the fear, the overwhelm, the sweaty pits, right? I even had a period in my life, Jen, you were talking about white spots. I
Yep.
had Raynaud's in my hands
Yes.
for a period of time. It doesn't show up all the time for me, but
Mhm.
in times of high stress, I will get Raynaud's in my fingers
Yep.
to where I will touch things and they will feel like they're burning.
Yeah.
Right. And so these are opportunities for us to pause and pay attention. Pause and pay attention. Our body is talking to us. God is using our bodies to speak to our souls and our spirits so that we can learn to start shifting all of that adrenaline and cortisol. Even when we think about the cellular levels of our bodies, right? I'm going to get a little heady and scientific for a minute here. What happens to our bodies under stress? How many of you hold your breath under stress? I see insomnia. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. How many of you can find that you hold your breath or that you breathe shallow? And this is something that we can pause and pay attention to when we are starting to feel some angst building up in our body. When your heart is starting to race. Anybody have rapid heart rate under stress? Okay. So this is an opportunity for us. Like Jen said, I'm going to hold up a quick little triangle. Our
Yeah.
thoughts, our emotions, and our intuition, right? Our bodies are going to speak to us in all of these different ways, and we get to pause and pay attention in that moment. And then we get to notice. And so God gave us 5 senses, like we said a minute ago. So when we are experiencing stress in our body, what are we hearing? What are we hearing? Are we hearing the criticism of others? Are we hearing birds chirping? Are we hearing construction hammers? What is it that we're hearing under stress? Are we hearing static in our hearts and our minds and our spirits? Are we hearing the word of God? Are we hearing truth, or are we hearing lies? Then we get to say, gosh, what am I seeing? What am I seeing in front of me? What is my body experiencing? What am I looking at? Do I have things around me in my environment that are going to remind me that we're stronger than we think?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we having things in our world that are not feeding us anything? It's really important that we put things all around us in our environment to help us to remember who it is that we are. So I'm going to pause there for a second because I feel like I could talk about this, with and miss
Mm-hmm.
some of what it is that you ladies are, really bringing to the forefront. A lot of noise. I hear constant noise,
Yeah.
a lack of safety, clenching. Yeah. Overstimulation. Absolutely. I really appreciate, thank you, ladies. Wow. You're holding your breath, Linda. So, what happens to you when you hold your breath? What do you notice in your body when you're holding your breath? Jen, when you hold your breath, I saw that you raised your hand,
Mm-hmm.
right? Holding your breath or shallow breathing, what happens?
Well, I would like to think it's my primal instincts kicking in that I have to take fast, quick action, right? But as we know, and again, the nurse in me is then as you do that, you can, and you do it chronically, you tend to hyperventilate. So now you're no longer in equilibrium where the oxygen is in balance with the CO2 going in and out, for example. And we need that oxygen in our body to fuel ourselves. And so that's why it's important that, okay, let me back up. Please know that these are God-given hormones, adrenaline, all of that stuff is serves a purpose. If we are walking in the forest and we see a bear and all of a sudden we kick in, that our heart is racing and our breath is going fast, it's because our body is meant to go. It's like that mother that can lift a car off her toddler. All of a sudden she gets that strength. That's important. That's short-term, quick action, cortisol that we need, that was God given to us. But when that happens over and over and over again, our bodies can't differentiate between a real life safety situation and something that just reminds us of an unsafe situation. And
Yeah.
so that's where we get fatigued, we get out of whack. And that's where we have to recognize that deep breathing, just, okay, my breath is getting shallow. I'm holding my breath. My heart is racing. What do I need to do?
Right. Jen, thank you for that. This is really, really key because stress is a normal part of everyday life. We will not live in a stress-free world. Can we just say that?
Mhm.
The high stress is what we're talking about here, that chronic stress. And so, our bodies are going to react in real physical ways, in positive or negative, with the positive and negative situations in our lives. Right. And so if we're having trouble coping, that chronic stress can deplete us and wear us down. It can be super overwhelming. And so maybe you experience really bad moods. Maybe you experience numbing or bad habits as a response to the stress that you're in. Maybe you've got sleep challenges, right? All of this stuff can come in and be warning signs for us of the stress that we experience. And so, Jen, one of the questions that's coming in right here into our space is how should we deal when we become aware of physical stress? What is something that we can do? And so we want to do an exercise with you, right, Jen? We talked about this, that there's something that I have found to be extremely helpful for me, and that is taking time to breathe. And so we're going to maybe what do you think, Jen? Should we do a little bit of box breathing?
I think so.
Okay, ladies, we want to encourage you to wiggle in your chair. I want you to
Yeah.
feel your chair underneath you supporting you right now. And I'd love to know if that was the first time that you realized that your chair was supporting you right now. Put it in the feed. As you wiggle and move, are you aware of your body physically, that it is being supported in your chair? And right now, what we're going to do is I want to encourage you to breathe in and out through your nose. All right. And we're going to do it to the count of 4. So I'll count us in. Jen, you can demonstrate and I'll count for the first go round, and then you can do it. How does that sound for the second go round? Let's take 2 really great box breaths, because what we've been talking about here is real. And we're probably feeling it in our bodies as we're reading in the feed and as we're typing. We might be having a physical reaction to some of what we're experiencing, even during this live. This is something that we can do to care for ourselves. All right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. All right, so we're going to breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, and 4. Feel that cleansing breath as it goes into your diaphragm and brings oxygen to the cellular level of your body. All right, Jen, I need a breath, girl.
Okay.
Bring it for me.
Let's do it. Okay, start with inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. You can wiggle that air around.
Wiggle that air around. I love that. Thank you, Jen, for walking me through that and allowing me to walk you through that.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, we would like to know, did you join us in those 2 breaths? It took a very short period of time. The benefits are huge. My whole body relaxed. I'm not sure about you, Jen, but I felt my shoulders came down. This is something else that I can find when I'm under high stress, is my shoulders can rise.
Yes.
And I
watched it in the camera. I could see this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? And so we would love to know, did you join us in that breath? What was that like for you? What did you experience? I experienced my shoulders relaxing, my sit bones settling more into my seat. Jen, what did you experience?
That I couldn't think of anything else because I was focusing on the breath, like something so rudimentary, so instinctual as breathing. We take for granted. But if we stop and focus, that's our pause, right? We notice something's happening, we pause. Breathing like that consciously helps us pause. And I couldn't think of anything else for those few seconds.
Absolutely.
Very powerful.
It is. And, when we can pause our minds for a moment, there's something really beautiful that happens. It's like stilling the noise, quieting our spirits. And then we have an opportunity, right? We talked about pausing and noticing. Then we have an opportunity to make a different choice. What will we do with the information that's coming in? And sometimes, taking that time to breathe before you go to sleep at night, when you first wake up in the morning, some of you spoke about having that tightness in your belly when you wake up and having to pray consciously throughout the day to even do your day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So perhaps inviting in some breath. There's so much scientific data that has been found that the benefits of breathing, God gave us breath, and the Holy Spirit will breathe new life into us as we make room. And so thank you. I see many of you joined us, and it was relaxing for you. It was encouraging.
And I want to add too, with things like this, and we could, oh my gosh, we could take hours to go through de-stressing types of exercises like breath work. But one like breath work, or just talking about our 5 senses, as Coach Leanne mentioned earlier, are all very private, intimate, sort of secret ways we can de-stress ourselves. So in other words, if you're experiencing a trauma trigger, and you might otherwise want to lash out, scream, do something, your kids are in the car, it's not appropriate, you're in public somewhere, whatever, you can breathe. And no one will really know. People are breathing all around you. But if you just take that moment to breathe deeply, count to 4, hold it, count to 4, hold it, it'll help you, and no one really knows what you're going through, and you'll have a chance. It'll get your brain back online, to go back from this reptilian brain where it goes offline into survival mode, back up here where you can think straight. That's what we're trying to do, is just do anything to get us back on track. And no one has to know. You don't have to make a big scene about it.
That's right. And this is self-care. This is self-stewardship. So I'm going to show you another. I took some trust-based relational intervention training a few years back, and here's another way that you can do it, and nobody is going to even know what it is that you're doing. And this is a calming tip as well. All right. And it's just putting your finger right here. Like you're leaning in and listening in. This is a calming, so you can kind of give yourself a mustache. But this is a calming tip and strategy. There's so many nerve endings right here, and it helps to bring down your heart rate. It's pretty amazing what happens to the body. God has given us areas in our bodies that help to calm us down. And so you can just sit and really listen, or you can rub your nose even for a minute quick. It's allergy season here, right? Whatever you can do to bring yourself down, to calm yourself down. Maybe you've got a cold glass of water in front of you. You can put that cold glass of water right next to your wrist. There is another calming strategy to help bring stress down in the body. And so we're sharing just the tip of the iceberg about some of the work that we do together in our support and education group called Conquer. And if this has been helpful for you, just the few minutes that we've barely been on 30 minutes. And if you have gotten some nuggets within this time about paying attention to stress in your body, what you can do about it, then join us in Conquer. Click the link below and see perhaps if it might be a community that would benefit you. We are here. I would love to just be a stress buster. I would love to be a stress buster, alongside of you. And a lot of the work that we do, we don't want to minimize the stress that you're under. It's real and it's there. What will we do with our bodies, our minds, and our spirits when stress comes in? We have a choice. We can let it destruct us, or we can let it strengthen us as we consciously move into it, feel it, and then develop strategies in order to navigate it in a way that honors God, honors ourselves, without dishonoring the other human beings on the planet. We can do that because we see the effects of when we see stress overwhelm someone and the destruction that can bring.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Monica, welcome to the Conquer community. You joined yesterday.
Yes.
So grateful.
We've got another question here. It says, early morning negative racing thoughts. Is this part of high cortisol? How do you reduce that?
Wow.
Yeah.
It can be. It can be. I remember, Jen, when I was in a period of a season, as we called it earlier, of high stress in my life, I went and had my cortisol tested. And I had to spit in a tube. Right? I had to spit in a tube. And they measured my cortisol at various times of the day. And yes, it could be. Those racing thoughts could be high cortisol. And this is where check in with your doctor. Right? If you're really wondering about the effects of stress on your body, take some proactive steps, make a doctor appointment, have your blood work done, have your hormones tested if you need to. Because your body's going to speak to you. The body keeps the score. One of my favorite books, one of my favorite truths, our body will hold in it all kinds of information. And what are we going to do with that? And the early morning racing thoughts, how can we minimize that and how can we reduce it? There are amazing strategies. We've shared some: breath work, body work, taking a good walk.
When I think of ruminating thoughts, sometimes for people, it helps just to visualize a stop sign. Stop. Because ruminating often means that we're trying to process something and we're trying to figure out solutions, but with no end to it. And so it becomes exhausting. And now racing thoughts might mean something different. It might just mean you're speeding through so fast you can't even stop to think through what it is you're thinking. That might be another thing. But I know for me, it's just screaming in my head, stop it.
Mm.
Because there's no solution. I would rather focus and rechannel that energy into something productive than to something that's just useless, really. And so that's another way too to help with that, because then you realize I don't have control over that and it's okay. Give it to God. And then you can use that energy into prayer, into breathing, into something else more functional, more productive.
Right. Jen, I'm so glad that you brought that up. So the stress is real. Our bodies are real. They're going to talk to us. We are living human systems here, very complex and amazing created beings. The energy that we have, that stressful energy, learning how to shift that stressful energy into healing energy is part of work that we can do. It's going to have to go somewhere. And so how is it that we're going to navigate that? And I just love this. Psalm 73:28 says this, but as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my safe place, so I may tell of all the things that he has done. And so when we can be in that cycle of racing thoughts, going right near to God, taking it to prayer, taking every thought captive, allow God to be your safe space and to hold those thoughts. Ask him, what else do I need to know right now, God? Have him be your safe space. Tell him everything. He can handle it. Go right there to give him the thoughts and rest in that. He's a great God, and he is a source of stress navigation that without him, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today talking about the effects of stress on the body, because my body might have been eaten alive by some of my stressful seasons. And I'm so grateful that the Lord caught me and he helped me to catch the stress, decide what I was going to do with it, get the support that I needed and wanted and deserved, and then walk in that truth. So, yeah, it's what I got at the moment. It's what I got
Mhm.
at the moment.
No, I think that's amazing. And I just think it's so powerful for us to be grateful that we are awakened to stress, because as Coach Leanne said earlier, it's going to happen. I think someone mentioned earlier in the chat that sometimes as Christians, we feel like we shouldn't have stress and anxiety. And I think, I mean, they even mention it, be anxious about nothing, because they recognize that anxiety happens, but it's when we put our hope into our faith that we can release some of that. But the fact is, it happens, right? So it's what we do with that. And if we let it percolate for too long, that's what becomes detrimental. And, from a very serious sort of health perspective, we have to recognize too that stress by itself might not necessarily cause a direct health complication, but it might exacerbate or awaken something. So if you're already predisposed to a certain condition genetically, perhaps, when stress takes over your body for a long period of time and your body is compromised in that way and can't fight off the normal things it fights off, then some of those underlying conditions may arise. Okay. So I hate to draw this parallel right now, but it's fresh in my mind. So COVID, for example, COVID itself, they're saying isn't all that dangerous. It's when you have those underlying conditions that it just attacks your system so that you can't fight off those other things. And that's what is detrimental. Kind of the same thing with stress. If we ignore it for too long, that's what's going to happen to us. And then we're fighting, for other reasons. I would like to think that if we start listening to our bodies, like I said, we can channel that energy into something productive, something good, even if we minimize it, because stress is always going to happen, but at least take an ounce of that stress energy and put it into something fun, joyful, God-giving. That's what I think we should do with that stuff. So whatever that looks like to you in terms of reducing that stress, like Leanne said, go for a walk, pray about it. If it's not, against your diet or something, go have something fun and sweet to nibble on. If that's really what's going to help you in that moment to just get grounded and get back online, do it.
So good, Jen. And getting some physical activity, getting enough sleep, because I saw insomnia come up in the feed as well. Eating a healthy diet, managing your time, maybe learning to say no to some things so you can start saying yes to caring for yourself. And if these strategies that we're giving you, the breathing, all of these different ideas are not helpful enough, reach out to get some support. Go to the doctor, right?
Mhm.
Talk to somebody, because living with chronic stress, like we said, can be detrimental to your health. It can be. And
Mhm.
I often say it causes dis-ease in our body, which can lead to disease. We've
Mhm.
seen it all over. There's scientific studies that shown people under high stress are more prone to certain diseases. And so let that not be said of the women that we work with, that we are going to do what we can to care for ourselves in seasons of stress, because you're worth it. You're so valuable to God. You're so valuable to your families, your communities, and to us. And
Mhm.
so getting, a handle on this and really paying attention to our bodies, because it is going to talk to us. And I know when I'm bringing, you know, um, my stress, when it's not chronic or at high levels, when the temperature is coming down, I can feel more calm. My voice is more gentle. I'm more kind. I'm not on high alert. I remember a high season of stress that I was in once, Jen, and it got um, spoken into my life. It was such a powerful word picture for me, and it was a thermometer. So my temperature under stress was already at 99.9. It didn't take me long to get to 102 when something else came in as stressful in my life, and my temperature went up. And so having some different strategies to help lower my temperature so I'm not at that heightened state of alert. And like you said, the reptilian brain and that
Mhm.
little amygdala that's the size of an almond, that
Mhm.
can cause a tremendous amount of chaos in our bodies and our brains, our spirits, and in our very souls. And so we want to invite in more Jesus, more Holy Spirit moments, more breath, and a sense of community and connection with other people that get it and that
Mhm.
are navigating the stress in their lives in such a way that they're able to bring down their temperature.
No, that's right. And that's what, joining into Conquer with a community of women that have gone through something like this before is so validating. I used to think I was crazy, crazy, crazy with some of the bizarre neurological symptoms that I was experiencing. And unbeknownst to me, my body was telling me, Jen, there's something not right in your world. And I couldn't even bear to stop and think. And looking back, I could see the red flags now, but I couldn't at the time. And my body was screaming at me. God was telling me something was going on because I was put under test for ALS, for MS, like very serious things, very scary things. And they were real. My doctor could see muscles in my body twitching that you have otherwise no control over. They were just firing like crazy. It was completely strange. And that was just a huge, huge red flag that something was going on. And so once I identified what that stressor was, and then you can go further, which is not what we do in Conquer, but so far as to get like whether it's EMDR or neurofeedback, there are things for trauma type situations that will help ease that type of stress. But just the validation among your other sisters to go, I had that too. I have eczema and oh my gosh, or my psoriasis actually improved when I separated. I couldn't believe it. You don't connect all these dots sometimes until after you have a chance to pause and kind of reflect and look back. And in those moments of pause, we can then choose a better response versus reaction. And then it all creates that circle. When we're not creating havoc by reacting, but by responding, it decreases the stress there too. And we overall come back to a de-stressed life as much as we can.
Right. And this is such an important topic. I'm so grateful, right, for the privilege to be able to talk about this today, because we can get stuck in stress, in hopelessness, helplessness. We can turn in a letter of resignation and say, I can't deal with the stress. I'm giving up. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because there is no hope. And we want to share with you that there is hope. You can learn to navigate life in a different way. And we want to be there for you. We want to, maybe you need a permission slip right now to listen to your body, to listen to those red flags, to not dismiss them, to pay attention, to notice what it is that you're experiencing, body, mind, soul, and spirit, and then to make a different choice. And so I'd love to hear in the feed, what choices do you have based on what you've heard today so far when you're under stress? What can you do? There's things that are outside of our control that sometimes the stress is created for us. Can I just say that? And we walk right in, it's just handed to us. And we can be a sponge, right? And so then what are some of the choices you have today based on everything that we've talked about so far in these 45 minutes we've been together? What are some nuggets that you want to pull away? Shannon, the mustache, right on. I love that. Okay, so you know that that's a choice. You can work on some things to self-regulate your emotions, to self-regulate. You can breathe. What are some other choices that you can make when you are experiencing high stress? For me, one thing I know is I can phone a friend. I can schedule a call. I can go out for a walk. I can breathe. We can change our thoughts. God says in his word to take every thought captive and make it obedient to him. What does that look like? How do you catch your thoughts so your thoughts aren't creating more stress for you? When in an already stressful situation, the stories that we tell ourselves about the situation can create even more stress. So how can we dial that back? Read the Psalms. Amen. Psalms are one of my favorite books of the Bible. I have a psalm, and this addresses, I'd like to just share this with you. Psalm 139, 9 and 10 says this: if I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the farthest oceans, even there your hand will guide me and your strength will support me. I'll tell you what, I will cling to God's support and strength every time instead of clinging to my stress. Sometimes I think my stress can really help me. And I can use it to motivate me to get things done in short bursts. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Fight that bear.
Fight that bear. Fight that bear. Exactly. And it can be a really good thing. We're talking about the destructive stress here that can really come in. And I choose to let God's hand guide me in the midst. Breathe.
I see Sherry talking about posting in the Conquer private Facebook group. And so in that community, we do have access to all of our sisters going through similar types of things in a variety of different scenarios where we can just vent and share with a safe community that gets it, that really understands that when someone says, I know it and I'm praying for you, they really do. They actually do. And it's so, sometimes that's just enough to feel heard and to feel loved and supported. So that's one of the things that Conquer does. I think someone earlier asked, does Conquer specifically address things like insomnia and those types of stress related symptoms? And I can't say that it does specifically. We don't zero in on specific topics like that, but what Conquer does is helps you understand that what is bringing up your insomnia. Is it those racing thoughts? Is it an unsettled spirit? Is it something physical, right? So what am I going to do with that? How am I going to speak up for myself? How am I going to get the confidence to tackle that? All of those things, Conquer will support you and lift you up and fortify you and give you the confidence you need to make that next right step for you, whether it's making that doctor's appointment, whether it's holding those thoughts captive, whether it's speaking up to your spouse and holding boundaries. All of those things that will give your body, mind, and spirit rest and therefore sleep. Listen, I'm the first one, do as I say, not as I do, because for years now, I've always been able to fall asleep. I can't stay asleep. And I just now say it's God talking to me in the middle of the night. So I get up and pray, or Leanne's in a different time zone for me. So she might get text in the middle of the night or something. But I've accepted it, and it's okay. And that might be a long-standing thing, but it no longer stresses me out because I have a way to release that, because I think of it as God speaking to me. I pray and then I gently fall back to sleep. But that's because I've had sisters around me that have guided me and have taught me things to do in those moments of stress. When I can't sleep, when I can't eat properly, or maybe I overeat. For some of us, it's, I don't eat, or I eat too much. I breathe, I don't breathe. I hyperventilate, that kind of thing. So only you know what your symptoms are, but Conquer will help you address and gain the confidence to tackle them.
Indeed. And this community is such a loving community with hundreds of women who desire to get stronger, safer, clearer, and more confident to do these things. We talk about how to manage those overwhelming emotions that can lead us to the stress. Our emotions and our thoughts, they can lead us down. And, we in Conquer and here in our ministry just really desire to connect you with the fruits of the Spirit. Right. And so that is part of our community as well, is that we biblically honor God's word in such a way and hold it in such high regard that we go to his word. And a lot of the teachings, there are hundreds of videos within the Conquer membership library that will help you in every topic. And, everything from raising your kids to eating right to topics about sex and pornography and,
Yep.
learning to speak up, you name it, we talk about it in
Yes, we do.
Conquer. And I think that's something that I really appreciate about this community. It's real topics for our times, for what it is that we are navigating when it comes to relationships. And the women are so loving and so giving and so open. I learn from them every day. So I'm seeing yes, yes, yes in the feed. And I'm seeing and hearing and just feeling each one of you as you share. And, you're worth it. You're worth navigating stress. You're worth listening to your body. It will talk to you. What do you want your body to say to you? So if we were to turn this a little bit, if our body is giving us heightened alert and it's warning us, I'm grateful for the warning. I know you are too, Jen, right? We're grateful our bodies are warning us.
Yeah.
As we shift, as we grow, and as we change, what do we want our bodies to tell us?
Yeah.
So if we are to reframe that a little bit and redistribute some of that energy, that very big stressful energy, what do I want my body to say to me? I want my body to be saying, Leanne, you're worthy to be cared for. You're worthy to be held. You are valuable to take care of. And knowing the truth about what God says about me, about my worth, about my value, that's what I want my body to be talking to me. I want that voice to be louder than the stress voice.
Exactly. And I want to treat my body like that temple that God wants us to treat it as. Because when I go back to my experience that I shared with you all earlier about those bizarre symptoms that I was having, I did go to the doctor, but I was terrified, absolutely terrified, because at that phase of my life, I was so consumed with my littles that what if something was really wrong with me? What if I wasn't here for them anymore? I had a family history of MS. So this was very real for me. It was a very real possibility. And it just consumed me. The fear, the enemy just took hold of me instead of me realizing that it was a gift and that God would be there for me to help me through it if and when it actually became a reality. And so we want to pause and listen to what those things are telling us, right? It's really, really critical. And that when we're in a safe place, it was my immediate family, and my spouse at the time was not a safe place to share that with. He would mock me and just say, what does the doctor say? And here I was, he wasn't understand the underlying terror that I was experiencing. I could handle the symptoms. It was the what if something happens to me fear that I was going through. And now I realize God was telling me something, and it was such a precious gift that I want to treat my body like that temple. I'm going to care for my body. If he's giving me that gift of telling me something, I'm going to honor that and do something about it, instead of mocking God by saying, no, I can handle this. Don't tell me anymore. And because that's not representing my body as a temple when I think of it that way. And that was my experience. And that kind of woke me up to how I want to honor God.
So good, Jen. So much wisdom in what you just shared. Thank you for sharing that and just your vulnerability in the space to share this. Here's the deal. We can pretend that this is not going on and we can dismiss it. And eventually it's going to catch up with us.
Yep.
And so, time is now. The time is now to really get a handle on this and just to really own it. It's like, yeah, I'm experiencing a lot of stress and you're not alone. And we just want to just hold that space so tenderly and so lovingly for you because the heart is hard. The heart is real. And so, Conquer is not always open, right? And so that's why we've been doing these lives. So we open Conquer twice per year and it closes on the 22nd of April, all right, at midnight. And I think that's midnight Eastern Standard Time. So
I
my
think
time,
so.
that's going to be like 9 p.m. So if you're a West Coast girl like me, it's going to close earlier than
East
midnight.
Coast here.
Right? And it's so reasonable. $37 a month. Some people are asking, so what does Conquer cost? It's $37 a month or $370 only for an entire year. You get 2 months free if you sign up for Conquer for a year. And you get some bonuses if you sign up for a year, right? You get some extra calls with Leslie herself, that she's going to be doing some extra bonus calls with those yearly members. And so we just want to invite you, if you think that this community would be helpful for you, there is no obligation to be there for a year, but you'll want to be, you'll want to be there because the information is so rich and the community is so loving and it's so safe and it's confidential and it's private. So you can bring the areas of stress in your life to the table and have real conversations about that. And so you want to go to leslievernick.com/Conquer sign up. I know it's been in the feed. Thank you, Julie, for keeping that for us and being our admin today. It's been delightful to have you here. And ladies, I've learned a lot from you today. Thank you for sharing in the feed.
We have one more question, Leanne, before we go, maybe, if we have a couple of minutes. Okay. So what if you know someone who was raised in a home that laughed in response to high stress situations or made fun of people who were stressed out, like I just shared, like it wasn't real and all in their mind? What would you tell that person to relearn how to listen to their feelings? Great question.
It's a beautiful question. I think one thing that I would say is that when people laugh in response, I know several people, I can do it. It's a coping mechanism to laugh and we're not feeling. And making fun of people who are stressed out, it's just showing that's another coping mechanism as opposed to dealing with it. And so for you, you are acknowledging that it's real. And so what would I tell the person how to relearn and listen to their feelings? I would say that your emotions have a very real purpose. And your emotions are going to be incredible information. They don't need to dictate the way you live your life, but they're information for you. They are here to tell you something. They are your primary informers. They're good. Your emotions are good. When we dismiss them, when we stuff them, when we don't allow ourselves to feel them, that can cause us more stress. So emotions are God-given. Jesus had emotions. We just coming off of Easter.
Yeah.
We saw where Jesus wept. He wept and he sweated blood. The emotions are real. And so in your family of origin, sometimes emotions weren't allowed and you stuffed them, made fun of them or whatever. I would tell that person that your emotions are okay to feel and it's scary to feel them and it's risky to feel them. I often say this, Coach Jen, don't feel your emotions alone.
Yeah.
Don't feel your emotions alone. So if this is new territory for you, invite somebody in to help you navigate the emotions and talk them through. Put them through a Jesus filter. Put them through a filter because you're going to see things the way you've always seen things. This person is going to see things through a lens they've always looked through. Yeah. And so you don't have to do it alone. So I'm going to pause there, Jen, And I'm going to turn it over to you. What would you say? Oh, you're that way. What would you
Yeah.
say?
Which way? No, that's beautiful. And I would add too that in situations like that, it really isn't our job to teach that other person too how to respond to what we're experiencing. It may drive us crazy. It may be a futile effort to try to convince that person because they're so convinced that they're right. But what we can do in Conquer and as a community of sisters to support each other is know that what we're experiencing is real and gain that confidence that if appropriate and if you want to speak up to that person and say, well, I'm sorry that you think this is funny. It's not funny to me. And leave it at that. It's very real for you. And I think back to myself, like as a teenager, when I'd be out with my friends and I would get chronic migraines. Well, you can't see a migraine. You can't see a fever. You can't see me coughing or hear me coughing or whatever. And some of my friends would go, oh, it's not real. Jen just doesn't want to come out tonight. And it was like, no, I was crippled with this migraine headache. And I had to speak up and go, no, this is real. I didn't fight my way and show up at my friend's house just to be cool. I was sick with a migraine. But it took a lot of courage with that peer pressure to kind of stand up to that. And that's what I want to invite you to do along with your Conquer peers, to be able to gain that confidence to say, no, this is my reality. You may not see my stress the same way I do, but it doesn't make it any less real.
That's right. And I think it's okay to say we have our limits. I am a limited human being. I am not limitless. I am not finite. God is the only one. And I can only go so far. I only have so much bandwidth. And it's okay to take a pause, to take a break, to give yourself a timeout. And if your emotions are starting to get the best of you, validate them. Thank them for giving you some information. Thank your body for giving you the information that you're under stress. Validate it. Acknowledge the heck out of it because it's trying to talk to you and tell you something. And
even if you don't know what it is yet, just acknowledge it. Say thank you. We can figure that out later, but just at least hear it.
Right.
That's the powerful thing to start with right there. Notice, notice, notice.
Notice, notice, and then be grateful. Our bodies, as hard as it is to say our bodies will scream at us under stress, I'm grateful that they do. And then it's my job, my work to do to pay attention to that. To lean into it, not be afraid of it, even though it scares the bejeebies out of us. It does. When our bodies are not at optimum, it's scary. I've had weird things happen to my body over the years. Most recently, I had all this weird stuff with my eyes. And ladies, our bodies want us to pay attention. Our bodies want us to pay attention. Our bodies, our brains want us to pay attention to what we're thinking about, what we're feeling. And it also wants us to pay attention when we need a break and a rest and a pause. So, Jen, we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to take a peek. Do we have any other questions coming into the space?
Oh, we had one more. How do you know if you are in the flesh or of the spirit? Under stress, I would assume. Yeah. I think discernment is a big one. Prayer, opening it up to wise others so that you can get feedback from safe people to understand what's going on. And this is the nurse in me coming out. So yeah, absolutely. If you have to, take it to the doctor. Maybe it really is of the flesh. Okay. So we don't ever want to over spiritualize something here either. We want to take those messages that our body is sending us quite seriously. But that to me is also seeking wise counsel, right? God put those doctors and those assessments and those diagnosing tests on this earth for a reason. So I don't know. What would you say to that? How do you kind of tell the difference between those two?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, testing, taking my thoughts captive. And like I said, don't feel your emotions alone.
Yeah.
Get some support, run the ideas past them. But it's like, wow, I'm really feeling this or I'm thinking this. Is it true? Is it true? Because, like we talked about, those 3 ways that we can take in information with our thoughts, our intuition, or our emotions. And when we think about that, it's like, what input am I getting? And then what do I want to invite in so I can really build into my well-being? But if I'm heightened emotions and if I'm worried about being in the flesh, I have blind spots. I'm not going to see them on my own. And sometimes I'm going to need to call Coach Jen. And she's going to help me process. I'm going to need to type it into the Conquer page. And I'm going to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Help me redirect. I'm missing something, because we're going to miss something. We're not going to see everything. We weren't created to do this alone. Our emotions, walking out this incredible human experience, was to be done in community. And that's one reason why I love Conquer. I love our coaching team. I love Leslie and the community that we are building together, so women can experience a level of well-being that God created us to live in, instead of this mountain of stress and destruction in our lives and in our relationships. So don't feel them alone. That's my hot tip of the day.
It's a beautiful, perfect tip. That's right. Stronger together. That's our motto for Conquer. You're not going to do this alone. I just see someone else. Shannon just signed up. Woohoo. We'll see you in our Facebook group shortly.
Yes, let's talk about our next live, Jen.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's Friday. Right.
We're so excited. We're so excited.
So what are we talking about? Our guest speakers that Leslie has on Friday?
Yeah, you're going to have an opportunity on Friday for here we go. It is I believe it's a 3-hour live stream right here. And you're going to get to meet all of us coaches on the team. Do you know there's 6 of us? It's pretty cool. We are stronger together. So Leslie's going to be here on Friday. All 6 coaches are going to be here. We're going to hear from Conquer Sisters. You're going to hear some success stories. You're going to get to dialogue with us, dialogue with Leslie, and share in conversation, in depth, about what is possible. What is possible as you navigate life in a different way, as you invite community into your world, like Conquer. Imagine it's a year from now, and you have spent a year with women who are on the same path as you, desiring to navigate the relationships with strength and dignity, less stress, more awareness, better communication skills, more clarity, more strength, with women who are finding your brave. Imagine what could be possible in your life then, after a year in a community like this. My goodness, we're going to be talking about that and more on Friday. Kind of fun, huh, Jen? I'm looking forward to seeing you again then.
Oh, I know. And then, there's sweet Janice. Of course you can. It's for everybody. I asked Coach Leanne at the beginning, is this for just anyone joining Conquer, or is it for everybody? And it's for everybody, right? So of course, anyone can join, but anyone new to Conquer, this is a way to just get more of just that sense of community, the success stories, the sisterhood. Oh my gosh, there's power of the group, ladies and gentlemen, but this is just for ladies as you move on into Conquer. So such power in this when we join together. Oh my goodness, it's absolutely, we are unshakable when that happens, when we band together.
Indeed. Oh, Jen, thank you so much, Coach Jen, for being here. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for everyone for chiming in today. This was a very lively discussion. I love this type of interaction. It makes it so much easier for us to dialogue and to really speak to each other and to all of your hearts, I hope, as well.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We'll look forward to seeing you on Friday
at noon Eastern.
Yeah, 12 p.m. Eastern.
Till 3.
Right here, and we're going to be here for 3 hours.
Yep.
3 hours. So carve out time in your schedule right now.
Yep.
And put it in your calendar. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday. All right. We'll see you, Jen. Thank you so much. Sending much love from the USA to Canada.
And right back at you.
All right. Take care, everyone. God bless you and be well.
Bye.